I'm gonna go on a deep dive, not a deep dive, but I'm gonna go on a rant. So Shizz, pull me in whenever you need to.
Dude, we are back in the mix. And if you just followed us and saw our last episode, you know that right now we are in the middle of summertime, you know what I'm saying, for as well as we can do during, this quote unquote my homegirl Corona. She kind of a beast, so I mean she kind of been messing things
she's
up.
Tripping right now.
I think her cousin Deshandra might be coming soon, so I don't know. We don't know. But until then, we're going to keep on summertime hopping. We just left my house, you know what I'm saying? And we got a couple plates of food and listen to some good jams. Now we're going to go ahead and drive on down to Reed crib and see what he got going on, what's on his playlist currently right now. So with all that being said, no intro needed, but I will say it anyway. We are the Beat Connection. Let's get it.
All right.
What we're going to do is we're going to talk about Mothership Connection by the legendary Funkadelic. You might know him as P-Funk, George Clinton.
Yes.
Bootsy Collins,
yes.
all that good jazz, and the iconic, my favorite producer of all time.
What's his name?
Dr. Dre, the good doctor. Mr. Andre Young, if you don't know him. Let Me Ride off of the Chronic album. What I'll say about Let Me Ride before, because I feel like if we start talking the Chronic, it's a little too heavy. The Chronic album, Let Me Ride, was actually, I think, the third or fourth single, and it wasn't even performing well. But it got a Grammy for Best Rap Performance. And after that, the song took off. What I love most about Dr. Dre is his ear for clarity. Like, nobody has the ear for clarity the way that Dre does. Like, when you listen to Let Me Ride, there is zero distortion in that sample. And since I've kind of opened up that door, when I hear Mothership Connection, my connection to it is layered, because P-Funk was my father's favorite band. So I was hearing P-Funk all my life. I didn't even realize what I was hearing. And as I go back and listen to it now, my appreciation for it just grows. The beauty of George Clinton being able to come up with a concept. Like, the song is called Mothership Connection. In parentheses, is Star Child. Star Child is an alter ego of George Clinton, because Funk started getting into psychedelic, you know what I mean? Psychedelic concepts. They talk
groovy concepts.
We coming back for the pyramids and all that.
Right.
And what I love most about Parliament-Funkadelic, specifically George Clinton, Parliament initially was a doo-wop band. In the 1940s, George Clinton was doing doo-wop. And to see that natural progression from doo-wop to forming Parliament-Funkadelic, which is two totally different bands, but they share so many members that they started working together more frequently. Oh man. And the song Mothership Connection is written by George Clinton, Bootsy Collins. I forget the other brother's name. I'll fact check it while Alexis is speaking. But just the beauty of P-Funk to be able to, I mean that is a full-fledged black band. I mean, we got a lot of them, but that's one of the more iconic black bands that we had. And I know Maceo, Bootsy, they all played with James Brown. Which, real quick, let me send an RIP shout out to my cousin Sam Reed. He was a jazz musician who actually played with James Brown.
That was your cousin?
Yeah, that's my blood cousin on my father's side.
Wow.
My father actually has a picture of Sam with my daughter. Like my dad took Karee to one of our family reunions, and that was the last picture I have of him. That was maybe like 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick. Lex, it's on you.
You made a lot of great points, and I think for me, I'll touch upon Dr. Dre first, okay. But I'll go into P-Funk because my heart is with funk. Yeah. So
I'll go back to Dre for you, but you
Dr. Dre, I definitely agree. I think his level of the level of clarity in his music, I love a lot of his I love a lot of his beats. I love the production he's been able to do. He's another person who's also versatile, which because I think what can tend to happen is you kind of think he's just kind of stuck in this one regional sort of sound, but he is actually very versatile. So
real quick,
yeah,
that goes back to I might have said it in one of our first conversations. I don't even think we put it out yet at this point, but Dre does classical music. He worked with Burt Bacharach.
Wow. Okay.
On three separate songs. So you can't pigeonhole artists.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no. So actually, that's a great point because I didn't even know that, but it definitely speaks to his versatility. And that's why I say artists, be open to listening to different sounds and other kinds of entertainment because you never know how it's going to influence what you do. It's so important. But yeah, Let Me Ride is so smooth. It's so it's so dope. And it brings me back to, the music I wasn't supposed to be listening to at the time, but the music that I did, because of course, you had the Chronic, but you also had Doggy Style and
right.
that's the stuff I wasn't supposed to listen to, but it was such a sound that was coming out of, Cali at that time that was just it's just, yeah, it was so particular, but also really soulful, really funky. And I think that is, I love how producers have their different distinct ways of tapping into sonic ancestry, sonic lineage, reaching back and bringing these sounds forward. I gotta say that George Clinton is a genius, and he's a genius. Oh yeah, he's a genius because he was able to bring. Maybe he's not the best singer, but him as a front man, he was able to bring all these different parts together and create this whole movement in this, in funk, but also we don't realize, and I think people don't give enough credit to P-Funk and actually who they were as musicians. These were classically trained musicians trained in jazz, musicians trained in the church. The level of musical range that they showed in all of their songs. Okay, fun fact. So several years ago, I actually auditioned for a P-Funk cover band. And so I had to learn, pretty much a lot of their catalog. Now, of course, I was familiar with them before that, but because I had to learn their catalog and learn the lead songs and lead vocal parts and all of that, it really got me into the music. And I was like, what have I been missing all of this time?
Yeah. What is this and why and how can I get more?
Right, because it was so, you're talking about in one song they can go from rock to jazz to country to folk to gospel in one song. And
it's funny you say that because they have a song on I think it's the Maggot Brain album. I feel like it's the Maggot Brain album. I could be wrong, but the song is called Who Says a Funk Band Can't Do Rock and Roll?
Yes.
I don't even have to listen to that song to appreciate what's being said just in the song title alone.
Right. And I think it just goes to show you just how incredible, futuristic, how forward thinking all of the members were. Even if you weren't like significant, even if you were a background singer, to be a background singer that wanted to be a part of P-Funk, you were forward thinking, because I can only imagine when they started kind of developing this aesthetic and how it came across. Like, don't, you know, like we accept it now as like P-Funk was like, you know, they're cool and everything, but can you imagine when they started coming out with their aesthetic back then? Like, I'm sure it was kind of like, yo, what is going on? So Mothership Connection, one of my all-time favorite songs from P-Funk, especially because we had Glenn Goins, I believe, or Glenn Goins, as far as like lead vocal, particularly in the live performances. And if you haven't seen the live performance of Mothership Connection, please, because when you see that mothership come down, oh my God!
Watch their performance in Houston.
Woo! Like, yes, I think it was like 1977.
I put my hands up. Like, come on,
look, I got an old auntie inside of me. Trust and believe. I watched that thing 1,000 times because that soulfulness. They bring out the church on that stage. The mothership comes down. I mean, the spectacle of it all. You feel like it's like the resurrection. Something's going on, and you got to be a part of this because this is only like a moment in time. So I'm gonna wrap up and just say,
right. But you know what's crazy too is so the tracks we're discussing, right, for the people who haven't realized that, we're talking Let Me Ride, that was performed by Dr. Dre featuring Snoop, Jewel, and RC off the album The Chronic, his first solo project. The producer obviously being himself, Dr. Dre. But the album was released in December of '92. Now they sampled the Parliament track, Mothership Connection, aka Star Child, which came off of the album Mothership Connection, produced by George Clinton, which was released in August of '76. So just to get that part, you know what I'm saying, in there. Now,
thank you.
You tend to forget, like, because you hear that West Coast sound, and just speaking for me and for the people, y'all more than welcome to comment and let me know y'all thoughts on what I'm about to say. But you tend to forget when you hear that West Coast sound, because we all have inspirations. So you tend to forget because in essence, we're so used to hearing the Dr. Dre Eminem sound, if you will. Like, that's what we're more kind of accustomed to. Or maybe the Chronic 2000, was it 2000 or Chronic 2001? I want to say it was
Chronic 2001. Chronic 2001.
Okay, right, the Chronic 2001. But you forget that his inspiration came from funk, which was now kind of created this new genre of G-funk, which is gangster funk or whatever. But how everybody can do it, but not everybody can master it.
Oh, yeah.
And Dre has definitely got a stranglehold of that whole West Coast sound. And before I even remembered or got reintroduced to him, that being his funk being his inspiration, you hear it in West Coast music all the time, those little effects and all of that stuff. So definitely shouts to Dre for, you know what I'm saying, for taking a sound, improving and updating. What you got, Rick?
I just want to piggyback on you because, you know, we get to talking and I forget. I want to give credit to Dre for creating that sound, coming up with that G-Funk sound after giving NWA their sound. The Chronic was Dre's rebirth. You know what I mean? Like, he was already established as
No, you're right.
one of the better producers in the game, going back from World Class Wrecking Crew to NWA and Ruthless Records. But after Ruthless disbanded, well, not disbanded, but after NWA disbanded, now you gotta create something new. And you found the perfect avenue to do it with the Chronic. And something you said about the release, it's crazy, and maybe it's because he's out in California. It's crazy that he created such a summertime anthem for an album that got released in December.
Right.
And that speaks to the environment of California. Like, you can always be inspired to do that. I just wanted to say that before I forgot. Flores, whoever wants to take it.
Yeah.
So jumping back in there, right? So now touching the George Clinton Parliament side of it, I think it's so dope. And let me go for it. Put my historian hat on again.
Well, I thought you were shaking your George Clinton dreads. I didn't know what was going on.
So we gotta let the rock out because we're talking about the Star Child or whatever. But just to kind of put my little pretend professor's hat on. So if we track it back, right? So Dre, his sound or the chorus or whatever you will was kind of like an interpolation of the chorus of the Let Me Ride track, right? But the Let Me Ride track from Parliament actually took the chorus from a group,
a quartet.
The Golden Gate Quartet.
Mm-hmm.
They had a track, right, which was an old like kind of Negro spiritual, whatever.
Yep.
Swing Down Sweet Chariot, Let Me Ride. So
that was
George Clinton heard that, took that, and in essence made, I guess if you will, a whole track, right? And then Dre, from what I'm assuming, took that part because if you listen to the Parliament track, it's kind of like a low tempo. And then you hear that Let Me Ride part kind of kicks in, and that's when things get kind of a little loud.
Yeah, they get a little more funky.
Right. So Dre heard that, took it, and did his thing with it. So it's always crazy when you start to kind of dig, and dig so far back that it came from a quartet, if you will, to P-Funk, Parliament, to now we're talking gangster rap. You know what I'm saying? All utilizing the same sound. So to me, that's dope and that's crazy in itself. But again, two things I wanted to say real quick. So as touching the Parliament track, I love that track, but I really love it once the tempo picks up. I love when that Let Me Ride part comes in. So speaking on that, I love the fact that Drake took that and looped it and flipped it to a whole track. But the point I'm making with the Dre track is not only do I kind of fell in love with the original, but he also put out a remix to it, which I think I love the remix even more than the original. For a couple reasons. One, because it's longer, you know what I'm saying? And I love listening to the production on it. And also about the 7 minute 46 second mark. It's a crazy
it get wild.
Solo on there. That Johnny Guitar Watson. So dumb.
Yeah.
On that remix.
Yep.
Just goes crazy.
So it's funny it's funny you mentioned that because I was listening to that yesterday. I didn't even know that version.
That's a hat on.
Yeah. No. It's funny you say that because I was listening to it yesterday, kind of fluky. I was introducing my daughter to P-Funk. And it came across on the playlist and I'm just like, yo, he going crazy on the guitar.
He went in.
Going nuts. Yeah, that was crazy. That was absolutely insane.
That's what you got. You cheesing too hard over there.
No, for me, because I'm such a huge fan of Parliament-Funkadelic, and I really just appreciate who they were as young musicians, young vocalists. I appreciate George Clinton, which, by the way, I forgot to add, George Clinton's birthday just passed. It was the 22nd.
Oh,
yeah. So his birthday just passed. He just had a birthday. But yeah, for me, I appreciate how fearless they were in terms of bringing these different aesthetics, these different ideologies, connecting African you know, our African lineage, but also African spirituality, you know, in certain parts to the music. And also reminding people, just as, you know, you said earlier, Karee, like in terms of who says a funk band can't play, you know, jazz, can't play gospel, who can't play country, like, you know, when we talk about Black music, you know, we are pretty much leaders and creators of so much of the popular music that's out here now. And like, don't forget, like, you know, like we can do a lot. Like we have done a lot musically. We have done a lot for the culture. And I think that looking at P-Funk and looking at their history, and they're still performing, they're still touring, like, also too, they're still out there. Like, they're not dead. Like they're not dead and gone and sitting somewhere chilling, you know, because you know, like they're still out there, they're still pushing, you know, it's different iterations of the band. Of course, you know, members have passed or moved on, but definitely in terms of like what they have done for music, I think their legacy has already been stamped. And for somebody like Dr. Dre to be able to hear that sound, because George Clinton's from Jersey, he's from the East Coast, you know, like a lot of, when I was doing some research, you know, a lot of these band members are from like the East Coast, but their sound somehow, like, and not, of course it's worldwide, but somehow Dre was able to take, you know, that funk sound and make it so regional, like in the sense of where you think, oh, well, this sound must have originated like in Cali, and it's like
out in the West,
right, and it could have. I mean, I'm not a musical historian, but you know, it's just very interesting to me how you have people who have kind of like
adopted,
shape and shifted and adopted, you know, certain musics from, you know, different places and able to kind of create like such an iconic regional sound, like G-Funk, you know, like that is a California specific, you know, sound, you know, and also communities in California, you know, not the whole of California, you know, talking about specific communities in California. It's just
shout out to Compton.
Look at how Dr. Dre was able to hear that, man. It speaks to his, you know, his musical ear.
And that's why I wanted to do this episode on Dre, like, and I think the reason that sound becomes synonymous with the West Coast is because of how big the Chronic album was. And you got to keep in mind, the Chronic album was huge, but Doggy Style came right after it, and Doggy Style is bigger, arguably. You know, from a commercial success standpoint, I think Doggy Style is the bigger album. But that back-to-back combo of G-Funk, by that, at this point, Parliament's music is
hear that consistent sound throughout as well.
And I think part of my appreciation for Dr. Dre stems from, like Shizz said earlier, being able to take the G-Funk sound coming off of the NWA sound to be able to give you Eminem and 50 and Kendrick Lamar, and not for nothing, Lex, you mentioned Sonic Ancestry. It's not lost on me that Kendrick Lamar on To Pimp a Butterfly opened the album with George Clinton and Dr. Dre spoke on it.
I love that track.
Things come full circle. Listen,
absolutely.
I love that album.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're not talking about To Pimp a Butterfly, but To Pimp a Butterfly is a great album for the same reason that we're talking about. That it's very inspired by P-Funk, and I love that project. I think I know it's kind of polarizing for some people, but I think that's his best work, and I think that speaks to P-Funk's lineage.
Absolutely. And you know, it's funny because I wanted to say real quick that I felt like Kendrick Lamar, and you guys might know better than I do, but I feel like Kendrick Lamar is actually somebody who is kind of continuing that sort of sound in terms of like that, you know, that G-Funk sound. So I think, Yeah, it's very interesting that you brought him up because he did use, have George Clinton and Dre on his album, which I think definitely speaks to how much everything is just so connected and how much respect they all have, for the other's music and for what their contributions, to music. So
and then the reason I brought up Kendrick too is because for Dre is his executive producer, so when Kendrick is turning the album in or he's working, he got to get Dre's stamp.
Oh wow, okay.
Dre is basically tutoring him into that whole G-Funk, P-Funk, like.
That's so crazy.
I feel like it's Dre continuing the legacy and Kendrick taking the ball and running with it. You know what I mean? So and go ahead.
Nah, well, because, and again, speaking on, because you brought up a point that you brought up, and I was thinking about it, because, again, I want to ask this question again. For this being a summertime, quote-unquote, summertime track, does this qualify for a summertime track, even though, like you said, it was released in December?
Hell yeah.
Does it have that summertime feel?
Time out. Lex, can you say that again?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to Dr. Dre.
Yeah. Hell yeah, this is a summertime song. Like, yeah. It was so funny, like just I think it was just a few days ago, I was riding in the car, like going downtown or something, and I was like, you know what, let me play the songs, they were going to be discussing, and I put that joint on. Like,
so what's your final thoughts on it then?
Oh my God, like, I don't really have too much to say. I'll just say, like, put Let Me Ride on now. Put that on, like, go somewhere, say I'm going to just take a drive, even if it's to the corner store, to the Rite Aid or something, like, put on that joint and tell me it don't take you somewhere. Like, I'm sorry. Tell me it don't take you somewhere. Put on Mothership Connection and try to tell me it don't take you somewhere. Like, I mean, for me, these are songs that really, like, transport you. And though it may transport you in different ways, like, it's without a doubt, like, these songs are iconic, like, definitely classics. And, shout out for Dr. Dre for seeing the beauty and the elegance and the and just like the futurism in P-Funk and Parliament-Funkadelic's music. Like, another forward thinker is looking to another forward thinker, and they're having the collaboration. Like, that for me is like, yeah, this is what it's all about, man. Like, that's all I can say.
Right. Ray, what you got?
Okay. I will not let my fandom control this conversation. Shizz, you brought up the Golden Gate Quartet. Their version of Swing Low Sweet Chariot was released in, I believe, 1940. I could be wrong. 1940 something, right? But it's also a rendition of a Negro spiritual. So, Swing Down Sweet Chariot by the Golden Gate Quartet stems from Swing Low Sweet Chariot.
Right.
From Swing Low Sweet Chariot, you get Let Me Ride. Think about that. Like, that's why I enjoy these conversations, connecting the dots between all of our ancestors through music. You know what I mean? George Clinton, I thank God that he's still here.
Yes.
P-Funk just put out an album, I think, if not last year, the year before. Bootsy Collins just put out an album recently. I think 17 members of P-Funk made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is history, man. We're not just talking music on this show. And that's why I think I've said it in one of these episodes before. Like, you're talking to music and you're talking to samples, but you're talking history. You're talking history, and there's a story behind all of it. My appreciation for George Clinton predates me even understanding who George Clinton really was.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was hearing his music when I was 6-7 years old. So my connection to it was already deep. And then Dr. Dre. Like, Shizz, me and you have talked. Like, M's my favorite rapper. I don't know if M becomes my favorite rapper if Dr. Dre ain't doing his beats. That's how much of a fan of Dr. Dre I am. In fact, and I'll close with this. Dr. Dre's ear for production is so clear that when I test new equipment, I go to Dr. Dre albums. If they don't sound a certain way, I don't keep the equipment. So, you know, thank you to Dr. Dre, thank you to George Clinton and Bootsy Collins and Maceo Parker, and music is lovely, man.
Yeah.
Shizz, what you got, man? I ain't got nothing else.
Yeah.
Oh, my turn. Okay, hey, this one was definitely a fun one. Fun one because I say one of my outside of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? When we get to talking about genres and all that, I'm such a big fan of funk. I love the energy it brings. I love the playfulness of it all. I love funk. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big Bootsy Collins fan. Just truth be told, I'm a big Bootsy Collins fan. So I'm definitely down with the funk. Also, I want to say we grew the era of hip hop that we grew up in. It's again. Have you ever heard somebody say that they don't like Dr. Dre? Like, for real? Like, and especially because of his longevity. For him to start with the one squad, go from NWA, go to doing his own thing, supporting Snoop, supporting I'm sorry, names are slipping my head, but just basically having his stamp on the West Coast, and then like you said, bringing Eminem to the fold, working with 50, all of that kind of stuff. His longevity as a whole is just I mean, you can't. It's not too many. You can't run out of things to say about Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre is hip hop's Quincy Jones. And that's the best way to say it. Like, however you hold Quincy Jones, that's what Dr. Dre is for hip hop.
In a sense, too, I love when people give nods. So if you watch the "Let Me Ride" video, they're going to a Parliament concert. And Clinton and the boys make a cameo at the end of the song. So definitely big shout out to that. But with all that being said, you know what I'm saying, we are house hopping and all of that. So my last statement, let's put some glide in your stride and dip in your hip and go and take another trip. Well, all right, now let's go ahead and drop your bar.
All right, y'all. So please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to check us out on all socials. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next episode. Yeah, man. I'm enjoying this so much, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and for talking to us. Make sure to share in the comments, you know, what samples, what artists, what songs y'all want us to talk about next. And we want to hear what you have to say. So please, you know, like, leave us a comment and let us know what y'all think. This is the Beat Connection. All right, y'all. It's on in my house now. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to go?
Have my smoothie ready when I get there.
Right, because you know I got the smoothies on deck. Like, come on.
Listen, hey, I'm gonna just turn my head around. My ginger better be in that smoothie when I get there.
And then dip in your hip.
Yes. Mothership. Yes. Yeah. Y'all coming to my hood now. Let's go. Let's be out, and peace as always. Peace, y'all.
I'd rather be with you. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd rather be with you.
Sing it, girl.
There it is. Can do.